here momentarily.
Thank you.
Did somebody post to the WhatsApp group?
Frankenthal.
everywhere.
I know, but we're starting late. and there was
KTAL?
as to
That's true. That's true. I apologize. We're starting late. Hopefully, I'll learn from here. See what to do about it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'doro. So I have to say, it's very exciting to see everyone again. And I think that before we begin, I would suggest that we pause to ponder. 2 years have passed. Some of you might remember the class we were sitting here where we said, it's good to see you. Erev Tov. Introduce yourself. Bechavod. Does everyone here know? Go ahead.
I know most of the people here already. But if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Everyone else introduce themselves.
My name is Jonathan. I'm 42. I am a here from Shiur 1 year ago. Thank God. I completed Aliyah in November of last year.
Mazal tov. WhatsApp it to me. Okay. So I'll post that on our group. Thank you.
Frankenthal.
Yep. Okay.
Funny. Although I think I'd rather not.
Inappropriate, yeah.
But I just read it.
We've known one another long enough. In life, when we deal with things, so it's natural that they form scars. But I'm always fond of telling the story when I used to teach in Katamon. So one day I walked out of the yeshiva, and this old man stops me, and he says, "What day is Yom Kippur?" I said, "Tell him when's Yom Kippur." He says, he picks up his shirt and he shows me a bunch of scars, and he says, "This one is because I just had open heart surgery, and this one is at the founding of the state when I was on a tree and I was shot." And this one, and he starts showing me his scars, and each scar he's telling me which battle he got that scar. And then he pulls out his hand and he shows me a Blue Magen David tattoo. He says, "You know what that is?" And I'm thinking, yeah, an Isser Doraisa, And he says, so I didn't say that, right? I said, no. He says to me, well, you've heard of the Navy SEALs? I said, yeah. So he said, the SEALs have a tattoo. That's their sign that you're from the most elite forces. Well, here in Israel, I was on the most elite forces, and this is our sign. He said, Ariel Sharon has one. I don't know if he has a tattoo, but that's what he thought he does. He said, and he started listing to me like the top echelons of the Israeli military. And he says, we all have one. And he says, this is our sign. So I felt that was very unfortunate, but it taught me a lesson. Because not that much before that, I'd met another Jew who told me about his scars. And that was a Jew who, in his married life, I don't know if this has to be closer, they had medical challenges in the family. And he said to me, he said, you deal with things, but there are scars. And the way he said it was obvious that he was saying that their marriage had not weathered the storm well. And the truth is that in life there are going to be scars. The question is, are those scars going to be, like this guy showed me, signs of bravery? They're going to be things that we've weathered the storm. And so now we're stronger for it. Or are they going to be things where a person says, yeah, I'm healed, but I'm still scarred? Now, a lot of it is our attitude. A lot of it is the way we process things, the way we choose to think about things. And now, 2 years have passed where the Rebbeinu Shalom jarred the world, right? I met a businessman who profited a lot from the Corona era. And he started telling me about how he was affected. So I said, I don't understand. He made a mint on, he cornered this market. He said, no one went through this unscathed. He said, if a person made money here, they had to deal with being in seclusion there. They had to deal with other challenges. No one came out of this unscathed. Everyone came out having a certain something. Now the question is, what do we do with it going forward? And that's why what we're going to discuss tonight about David HaMelech, I feel is incredibly important in terms of what we can learn from David. Yesterday, I had the good fortune of calling a Jew who's in his mid to late 70s, and he mentioned to me in the conversation that in a month it's going to be a year since his wife passed away. So I said to him, so are you getting ready to remarry? And he said, I should, and I'm going to have to, but it's very hard. So I'm listening. He says, I was married to my first wife 56 years, and those 56 years were Gan Eden. I was in the Garden of Eden. He said, for 56 years, I had the best life in the world. So to go out now, that's not so simple. And I looked at the phone, and I thought to myself, is his marriage any different than anyone else's? I don't think so. Was his 56 years really different than other people's? The only difference, if you ask me, was his attitude. Meaning where you walk down the street and you'll see people smiling. You think they don't have problems? You think they don't have challenges? You think their life is really better than yours? And I'll quote you a pasuk that David HaMelech said. David HaMelech said, let's take out a Tanakh. We have a parak that appears twice in the Tanakh. Once at the end of the book of Shmuel, and once in Tehillim. So at the end of the book of Shmuel, we have King David's song, right? David et Lashem et divrei hashira hazot. So King David sings a song, okay? And then David HaMelech says towards the end of the song, he says, Hakel, Hashem is the force, Ma'uzi Chayil, He gives me strength to succeed. Vayater Tamim Darki. Vayater is like to tour, right? Taru Amraglim. Hashem paved out the most perfect path in life for me. That's David HaMelech's line. I read this pasuk and I said, wow. If there's anyone who had a dismal life, it's David HaMelech. When when David HaMelech's father was married to his mother, so at one point he was uncomfortable with the halacha of whether Moabite, not a Moabite. So he said to her, I want to marry the maid, so at least we'll have one kid who comes from a different lineage. And she said, fine. And so she went to her parents, and she told the maid, you're going to marry, Avraham Avinu married the maid. Yitzchak Avinu, you'll marry my husband, fine. And then she changed her mind. So she said to the maid, you know what? My husband thinks it's going to be you tonight. You have the night off. I'm coming back. So she was waiting in the bedroom. Yishai was 300 years old, approximately. The Medrash says Yishai lived to 400. So I guess, David's father, Yishai. So Yishai died when David was 30 years old. So I guess he was 370 when, not 300, 370 when he comes. And so Yishai, right? Yishai comes to the bedroom, and he thinks it's the maid. And 3 months later, his wife is pregnant. She comes back from her parents' house, ostensibly pregnant. And he says, what happened? And she says, well, you remember, you thought I left. I tricked you. Yishai says, uh-huh. Maybe. And from that day onward, he views the pregnancy as questionably legitimate. He's not sure. And when David is born, it's about this that David says, Even Masu Abonim. David says, I was like the brick that no one wanted to use to build with, right? I am the Even, I am the brick, I am the stone. Masu Abonim, that the builders were a little disgusted with. And as he was growing up, they sent him out with the sheep. He was the black sheep, excuse the pun, right? Is that our pizza? Is that Beni Ovadia? Yeah, he's helping me out with something. So,
That's what he said.
Beni Ovadia, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Benny. You know what? So maybe send me your WhatsApp location. Can we pause this for a minute?